This one, oh yeah, the intro. Let's do the intro. Welcome to the Mathtopia Daily-ish news, maybe twice a week, see how it goes. My name is Math, and this is my Topia, and this, where's my other arm? That one. Oh, yeah. Everything's back to front. This is where you'll get a regular dose of the awesome, the interesting, the downright extraordinary. We'll report on anything that'll make our lives that little bit better, one step at a time. Scientific breakthroughs, discoveries, new technology, actual product releases, like stuff we can use right now, whether it's brain implants. Yeah, let's plug in a brain implant, that's a good idea. VR, AR, organic farming technology. We'll report on the cultural side too, because I quite like sci-fi and weird fiction as well. So there'll be a bit of that. It's quite a broad remit, sure, but there is a common theme, you'll see. And there'll also be a touch of Big Brother watch as well, because we can see how quickly a utopia can turn into a dystopia, know what I mean? So yeah, let's get on with it.
Mathtopia technology, science, breakthroughs, discoveries, news.
Anybody worrying that AI is here to take all of our jobs, I wouldn't worry, to be honest, because I think it's just probably already happened pretty much. We just haven't kind of noticed yet. Multi-agent research AI launches own meth lab. Safety experts in crisis mode. Okay, there might be some clickbait going on there. I'll have to work on that. How about, instead, Robin, FutureHouse's multi-agent AI system for scientific discovery. It's probably a bit better. Non-profit science outfit FutureHouse released a multi-agent AI system earlier this year called Robin. Robin builds upon specialised agents that FutureHouse have been developing pretty much since the organisation was founded in November 23. These specialised agents then, so we've got Crow for literature search, not literature as in The Raven, but as in scientific literature, Falcon for deep review, and Finch for data analysis. Combined, this multi-agent system is the first AI to autonomously execute an entire scientific workflow from hypothesis generation through to lab validation. In other words, it's pretty good. It kind of brings it all together. Specifically, though, Robin was applied to dry age-related macular degeneration, or DAMD. As you might know, DAMD is a major cause of blindness, and there's no treatment, nothing really effective anyway. So what did Robin actually achieve? Robin singled out a particular process enhancing retinal pigment epithelium phagocytosis as a promising therapeutic strategy. Then it proposed ripasudil. Pretty sure I pronounced that wrong. Ripasudil is a ROCK inhibitor approved in Japan for glaucoma as a novel repurposed drug candidate for DAMD. In lab experiments run by human collaborators, go humans! Ripasudil improved RPE cell function, supporting Robin's hypothesis and establishing it as a genuinely novel candidate mechanism and drug for this disease. Robin is described as the first multi-agent system to automate all key intellectual steps of the scientific process, surveying literature, generating hypotheses, proposing experiments, analysing data, and updating its hypotheses all in a closed loop. Sounds worryingly like AI-driven software development, where the AI writes the code, the AI reviews the code, the AI tests the deployed software. Yeah, that's a closed loop, and that's why we might start to be a bit worried about AI-driven air traffic control systems, AI-driven operating systems, for example, and so on. Maybe off topic, but I'm not sure. But in this case, the results have seemed to be pretty good. So the entire process, from conceptualising Robin to submitting the scientific paper describing the DAMD result, took about 2.5 months, which is pretty good, and was carried out by a small team. So humans involved, few. So is this the future of big science? Openness? Democratisation of the essential tools and even the infrastructure, maybe? Large parts of the Robin ecosystem have been open sourced, but to run the full thing, you do need to get an API key from FutureHouse. So some parts are completely open, sure. Others are still closed and proprietary though, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. Brandon Sanderson's Tailored Realities. The latest epic is here from the best-selling producer of quality epic novels, Brandon Sanderson. Released just this month, pretty much. Tailored Realities is actually not one big epic, but a collection of stories. Mini-epics, some of them previously released, some not, and they're mostly not set in the Cosmere universe. In fact, I think maybe none of them are set in the Cosmere universe. So I do wonder, why Tailored Realities? Going through some of the stories in the collection, no spoilers here, this is just kind of what the stories are generally about. So Snapshot is a detective novella set in a Matrix-like simulation. Yep. It sounds about right, where investigators recreate specific days to solve crimes. Actually, that sounds pretty good. Interested to read that. Moment Zero is a novella never before published. That's actually the bulk of the whole collection, and it's described as a heroic heroic cop story involving time travel and alternate dimensions. Starting to see a pattern now. Different realities, different things. Time travel, all good stuff. Perfect State is a story combining virtual existence and gaming culture. So in other words, kind of probably people stuck inside a VR game. Don't take off the headset or you'll die. That kind of thing. Defending Elysium? No, there's no Defending Elysium. It was a terrible film. This is a novella set in Sanderson's Cytoverse, as in the Skyward universe. Skyward is also a book series that I'm actually kind of interested to read, except I tried a bit and it did read a bit like young adult. No shade on young adult fiction, by the way. In this particular case, it's a bit too teenagey for my taste. Firstborn, not Mistborn, was Sanderson's first published science fiction story. So that's kind of nice. Mitosis is set between books in his Reckoners superhero series. Brain Dump was a story about designer brains, and so on and so on. It was a horror story, Dreamer, which is about poltergeists. That'd be fun. So apart from a few exceptions, there's generally a common theme about alternate universes, universes within universes, realities within realities, which I'm absolutely fascinated, by the way, about that sort of thing. Pocket universes and so on. I'm writing something about that. I'm going to let you know about that sometime soon. Apparently, the title, Tailored Realities, refers specifically to the recurring theme of simulated or constructed realities throughout many of the stories. So the stories generally examine philosophical questions about the nature of reality and consciousness through science fiction concepts. Nice. Brandon Sanderson is, of course, a fantastically popular author. So far, his stuff has just not really been for me, but this one I'm genuinely looking forward to reading, and I plan to. So is that a thumbs up? Do I do thumbs up on this channel? I don't know. It's a thumbs up. So is this the ultimate backup? DNA cassette tapes. Yeah, it's the 80s all over again. Van Halen. Who else is from the 1980s? Fleetwood Mac, maybe. Mixtapes. This, however, is a different form of cassette tape. Glad to hear it. Maybe I'm not. I want the 80s back again. I did that bit. This could be the ultimate backup. A new DNA cassette tape which stores 360,000 terabytes and lasts 20,000 years. I'm not quite sure how they're going to test that. Good luck with that one, and let us know. So, DNA storage. Quick explainer of DNA, just in case anyone genuinely doesn't know what DNA is. It's basically nature's hard drive. It's not just what makes up humans, animals, everything. Well, everything kind of, living, apart from robots. It's also nature's hard drive. It's a long double helix molecule made of 4 chemical bases, A, C, G, and T. Why not A, B, C, D? Anyway, these act just like the ones and zeros in computer binary code. And they're microscopic. Essentially that allows for incredibly dense information storage, although file retrieval, not so good, as we'll see in a moment. The innovation here is from Chinese researchers. An awful lot of innovation does seem to be from China these days. Hurry up, America and Europe and the world generally, catch up. Chinese researchers synthesized artificial DNA containing digital files and fused it onto a long plastic strip, protecting the strands inside microscopic zinc cages. They built a retro-style cassette player that scrolls through the tape. Actually, it's not even quotes, it's actually a cassette player that scrolls through the tape, reads barcodes to find specific files, and chemically retrieves the data on demand. So where's this at? Does that mean we're going to get this 1980s mixtape revival? After all, well, this is still very much a prototype and apparently not yet ready for market. Well, as long as it's soon. The equipment is very bulky, synthesizing the DNA is expensive, and retrieving a single file is slow. Imagine walking into a library and the librarian is a sea cucumber. It's kind of that level of slow. In fact, it currently takes about 25 minutes to retrieve a file. In some cases, that's not going to matter, right? But it does kind of put this in the realm of secure long-term backups, storage in a deep vault underground somewhere, that kind of thing, rather than, say, live data science or web servers. Also, that kind of means that the target market is going to be like tech giants, the likes of Google and Amazon, for example, governments, not average consumers. The goal is basically to help data centers to replace warehouse-sized, so not just a data warehouse, but an actual physical warehouse-sized server farm with much more compact storage to handle the massive explosion of data that we're kind of seeing from everywhere. The AI boom, notably, everything now involves data storage. Even when people aren't just doing something that generates data, something is watching them and generating data from watching them. Hello, camera outside my window. Overall, this is another good innovation, I think. It's just, from a surveillance point of view, is this going to enable mass surveillance beyond what we're already seeing? Probably. You can now have cameras watching the cameras, CCTV upon CCTV, and just layers upon layers, onion surveillance. Awesome. Yeah, in terms of a cool technology rating, this gets a definite thumbs up. In terms of a potential to just enable the surveillance state, whichever state you happen to live in, probably a thumbs down. I don't know. But then how cynical should we be about any new technology? Thank you so much for watching this first Maftopia video. Really hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a like. I'd really appreciate that. Helps the algorithm. I've seen that mentioned so many times, but I suspect that it really does. And please leave a comment too. You can also find me over on the Save with Crypto YouTube channel, where I often join in a live stream on there with Save with Crypto himself. That's usually sort of twice, maybe 3 times a week that I do that. And also I'll be doing these updates here probably 2-3 times a week as well. I'll try and find a regular schedule. I think I probably said about leaving a like, subscribing, leaving a comment, all that stuff. God, I'm asking you to do a lot of things, but I really appreciate it anyway, and hope to see you next time.